Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jasmine Clark,
I'm Amanda Weinstein.
I'm Rachel Vindman.
and you're listening to the Suburban Women Problem.
Did you have some visitors for Thanksgiving in your area where Moms for Liberty were coming to your area?
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. So, like, right before the break, they did come to our area. I don't know what was discussed or what they said in their little, powwow meeting, whatever they were having, but, they were here. They didn't really, they haven't really had much of a presence here. I think they've like
Oh, you're very lucky.
loosely been associated, in our area, but not as much as in other areas. So maybe they're just thinking, after losing so hard in all these other places, they're like, maybe we need to go to friendlier territory. So maybe that's why they came to Georgia.
Or they're like, get in this car. Let's go, losers. Let's do some more losing in a different area. Maybe it's more fun to lose in Georgia.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but it was, they did come. It'll be interesting to see, what comes of that because, similar to a lot of other places, while we do have this like, small, loud group of people that are anti everything, like they literally just like anti everything that everyone else likes, they like hate. They are not that, except in like very small areas, maybe an MTG country, which that's kind of what I call it. They might get a good reception, but generally in Georgia, we're not moving in that direction as a state.
Not the suburbs.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But along with their crazy thing, we also experienced here in Georgia the passing of Roslin Carter. I think there are people that have a lot of opinions about Jimmy Carter and Roslin, Roslyn just by virtue of her being the first lady, about his administration. But I don't think there's a single person on this planet that can deny that Jimmy Carter and Roslyn, they have a heart that is just different than most people, especially people who have had a position of power. Their heart and just the way they have lived their lives, I really wish that more people who had a platform, who had a voice, who had a position of power would use it in the way that they have. So it's really sad for us here in Georgia. And, I am, praying for the Carter family.
It was really fun, like just reading the news on how she helped propel him from like rural Georgia to the White House and everything she did. And I saw her like calling like the very outspoken first lady. And I'm like, cool. One day I want someone to tell me like she is super outspoken. And I'm like, yes, I am.
Back then that probably was considered an insult. But now I'm like, heck yeah. This is exactly what we need.
They still don't call men outspoken, but I'm like, that's fine. You can call me outspoken.
They would actually call a man who's not outspoken something derogatory, I think.
That's true. I think that's true.
I was maybe not really as aware of Roslin Carter's initiatives as First Lady, but it was great to read about some of the things, her work, not only with mental health, but her interviews and things that she said, which I thought were particularly poignant, especially given the time. And then actually we know that under President Reagan, almost all, I don't know if it was just federal or state, but mental hospitals and facilities were closed. Yeah. Now, there is a little bit of an asterisk with that because there were some not so great.
Yeah, there were some abuses happening.
Yeah. And so they were trying to privatize it and make it better. I know. Like we're not going to litigate the Reagan administration on today's episode.
How'd that work out? Yeah. I think they did it so they're like, one day we'll be able to complain about mental health is really the cause of shootings.
Check.
And that will help us. The problem is like we think privatizing will work because these markets work very good for like TVs and computers, right? Private markets work well for these types of things. But when you have something like healthcare, where there are so many other impacts that are put on other people when you have mental health issues or you can't afford it, and that puts those impacts on other people, that it there's a need for government to do something. And I think the problem is when we stigmatize mental health, then people have less appetite for the government to actually spend money on it, even though it would help their communities and it would help them personally by addressing this issue. There are places for, even in economics, there are places where capitalism does really well. And there are places that we call it market failures, where markets fail to give us optimal outcomes. And this is where we actually say government needs to step in. And if we want optimal outcomes, this is where government's role is to fix where markets are failing. Healthcare is one of them. And education is another, right?
Yes,
Without public education, like it doesn't work well. We have done as well as we have in America because we invested in public education earlier than other countries did. And so if we let people like Moms for Liberty or try to privatize education or let people like Moms for Liberty completely tear it apart, it's not going to go well for us. This is someplace government needs to protect. And I think we also need to be paying attention to who the people are who are trying to tear education down. We have seen a lot from Moms for Liberty recently that they have clear connections to the Proud Boys, a white supremacist, which they're now trying to be like, well, they're just our friends. Like we just invite them over for Thanksgiving, right? We're not that close. We just have lots of pictures with them.
Donald Trump,
right?
like I think they got me coffee once, maybe, but like, not quite sure who they are.
You've been pretty close to Proud Boys and white supremacists for a while. Like this is something we're going to pay attention to. And we also see like in Philadelphia, a pastor who's one of their coordinators has a felony conviction for aggravated sexual abuse of a 14-year-old boy. Like this is who Moms for Liberty are.
He's also super, super, super anti-gay and everything. And I mean,
why is that so par for the course though? Like it almost it enrages me, but it also makes me really sad.
I feel like they listened to the story about the boy who cried wolf and they were the wolf. Like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to pretend, dress up as the boy and I'm going to cry wolf. And then when I come in there, no one's going to believe it. And they're like really took that story to heart, but like they're the wolf and like, let's cry wolf a bunch. So when I come in, no one will believe you and I'll just get to do whatever I want.